Something I never do, and I haven't done in years, and I used to do it a lot like when I was in middle school, where I used to do like foam rollers in my hair every night when I was like in 8th grade, because I'm Taylor Swift, obviously, because I have the straightest hair known to mankind, and despite it being so frizzy, it doesn't make any sense. But I used to put these like foam rollers in my hair like when it was like a little damp, and then you put like a bonnet on and then you sleep, and then the next day you take them out, and typically you kind of like loose comb through them so you don't look insane. But what I would do is just not like comb through them, so it would just be like a single definitely had a foam roller in that curl throughout the day, and I would look so bad, and I wonder if I could find a picture of it. Like it looked really dumb. So for years I just never did any sort of like overnight heatless curls is like the thing. And so I decided last night I should do that. And I saw like an Instagram reel of this girl who did it like with socks, and I was like, okay, my hair is finally long enough now. I should be able to do something like that. And so then I did it. And then I took them out this morning. And like, it shocked me to the point where I like broke out like hysterically laughing, because it looked so comically bad that I was just like kind of like staring into the mirror going, what the fuck is wrong with me at my big age that I thought these heatless curls would look good? And so then I shortly had to then get on my video session with my therapist, and I had to clip my hair up because I was like, he can't see me in a state like this, because like the top half of my hair, because I have like a lot of layers, like the top half was completely straight, and then the bottom half was super curly.
Oh,
and so
that kind of sounds pretty cool. I'm not gonna lie. That's kind of what my hair is.
it like I wish I took a picture, but I was like, I was too ashamed of just how bad it looked that like it was truly really funny. And so the whole day I've been like getting my hair wet and like continuously combing through it to like get the curls to calm down. And then when I was getting ready to record this, bust out my straightener, and then I over curled my hair again. So then I had to calm it down for a second time today because I did too much for a second time. So
I think because they did look quite naturally textured.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
I was really trying to get it to calm down, but it was like I had to like curl like the top half of my head, because it was all like sitting perfectly straight but sticking out because the curls were like so massive. So then it just like I looked like a mushroom or some sort of like house shape thing, because the top half was so straight and then the bottom half was so curly. And so anyway, that's what I did. And I've learned my lesson yet again. Maybe heatless curls are not for me.
What do you mean the socks as well? Like, I can't even imagine how a sock might be used for this.
Oh.
Was it like a sock ball? Like you fold the sock?
Well, it's a clean sock for starters. Okay. But like you like hold one end in your mouth. I won't do it because I have lip gloss on. But you like twist it essentially around your hair like that. Oh. And then you take like this end of the sock and then you like go over it. Yeah. So.
Wow.
I just stretched out like one of my favorite pairs of socks too. So that's fun.
Yeah, you lose a good sock. You lose a good sock in the process.
My sock is so long now. It's like truly like some of my favorite socks. I don't know why I did that. Because I was like, oh, these are like a really good texture, I imagine.
Yeah. Because true, that'd be important too.
So yeah, now my favorite socks are like 6 inches longer than they should be. So that's fun.
You know, you'll find a way to work with it. You know, the humans adapt. It's a beautiful thing. All of my socks are shrinking because I keep chucking them in the dryer because I keep running out of time to dry them. They don't feel good that good anymore. But that's fine. I'll make them work. I'll start getting into ankle socks. You know, I just don't wear ankle socks at all.
What you mean, like ones
I'm
that like
shin
cut off
high,
at the ankle?
like always like halfway.
Oh,
shin.
same.
Yeah.
Oh, same.
That
or
was probably the best decision I ever made in my life.
Go over my ankle bone.
Yeah. I'm like even like halfway up the shin.
That's my preferred. I don't know. Like I think it's just because like the shorter socks just like scooch down into my shoe, and then the second they go under my foot, homicide.
That is ruined.
Is like the forefront.
Legit. Like, what am I meant to do? Do you want me to take off my shoe in a public place? Probably.
Put my hands down on my foot and go on my sock.
Reveal to the world that my sock has... I was not wearing invisible... No, it's not the sandal weather. I was wearing socks, in fact, and they just fell under my shoe, under my foot. It's like getting a pebble stuck in your Birkenstock.
Oh, yeah. It's like, oh, do you want me to pull down my pants? You want to see my butt?
Legit. It's like, what else do you want to see, freaks? You know?
Yeah.
I'm not going to go to a private
buying
room to
toilet paper. They're like, ew. Like, that's... I can't...
Impossible to hide as well. I'm running out of mine. I just know I'm going to have to lug home a 12-pack of double length roll.
And it's just like a very normal thing to purchase, but everybody's looking at me and going, ew.
Yeah, it's like, what do you need that for? What do you need
that, you little freak?
You know what I need it for. We all need it. I'll tell you what, best thing about Japan is the fucking, everywhere has a, what's it called? A little...
bidet. We are a bidet house. We are a bidet house. Big time.
I hope I get a bidet for Christmas is what I'll say to people who know me, who listen to this. I would love a bidet. I think they're incredible. I didn't get them at first. And then I realized you gotta get into it. You know what I mean? You gotta like... There's
a learning curve for sure, but it really cuts down on the amount of toilet paper that you use.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's incredible.
There's like heated ones. Ours are not heated.
Yeah, that's funny.
But we just have like the tushy ones. It's just like they're like $80. But they're great. I was able to install them myself. This is not sponsored by Tushy, but hey, Tushy.
First sponsor.
Hey,
we've been blessed, guys. That is such a podcast sponsor, though. Like that is hilariously accurate. And they would plug it like once a week, and people would buy. I'd probably do it if I got a deal on a bidet. They're cheaper than you think. I always just think the whole toilet needs to go. Nah, turns out you just need to. Actually, I can't. I mean, now I don't want to bore everyone with the details, but my toilet, you can't access the water pipe thing. It's kind of built into the wall, so I need to call a plumber if I have any issues. It's really annoying.
Yeah, that does pose at my old apartment, it was a lot easier. Like if they have like adapters if you have like a single piece toilet.
Okay.
I don't exactly remember, but yeah, like some toilets it's either like impossible or just really difficult to do it depending on the plumbing. I don't know.
Yeah. And we'll discuss this further in our toilet episode and as the Christmas special.
Oh yeah. I have so many opinions on like toilet shapes. I've had like at our old apartment in LA, it was like I had some of the best apartments ever when I lived in LA, but one of them was like in like a pre-war build. So I think it was built in like the 20s and made of like 10,000% cinder block. Like this building would survive a bomb. And like could not hear your neighbors at all, but it was so beautiful. And we faced, it was like southwest, but if you looked out the west window just slightly to your right, you could see like the Hollywood Hills and you could see the Hollywood sign. And we had like a fire escape. And then if you looked out the south view, you would see the rest of like East Hollywood into downtown. And we had this tiny little window in the shower. And the building next to us was like a floor below us. So there was no building blocking the view. And when I tell you, if you have ever taken a shower during the day, whilst being able to have a window that's like right at like chest height for me, just being able to look out over all of LA, and no one can see you unless they're on a rooftop.
Yeah.
Like, it is absolutely divine. And in like a really old Hollywood bathroom. So it has like the black and white tiny little tiles, a standalone tub, a tiny little sink that had absolutely no counter space at all. But it was like the most quaint little apartment. And did someone try to break in? Yeah.
They wanted to see the view.
But were we home when it happened? Yeah. And did he pick our lock? Yeah.
Oh God.
And Matt stopped him.
No.
Yeah. And I was asleep.
Oh my God.
And I woke up to him like whisper yelling at someone at the door, and I'm like, what the fuck is going on? And then like later he told me, but we really liked living there. Other than that, we didn't have a dishwasher.
Sorry, I don't think you told me this story before.
I don't think I've told anyone.
Did they get in?
They picked our doorknob lock. So we had like the regular doorknob lock, and then we had the deadbolt.
Oh,
so
yes.
They were trying to pick the deadbolt. They successfully picked the doorknob lock, which is why you should always have a deadbolt. And after that, we got like an additional latch that's like the little ball and loop thing.
Yeah.
So it can like stop if it were to open. But the guy was like after it happened, Matt and I recapped, and then we went to bed, and then the next day I went and like talked to my neighbor who had lived in the building for like 15 years, and he was the building gossip. He knew everything. His name was Al. Love him. Love Al. Miss Al every day. And I was like, hey, somebody tried to break into our apartment last night. And he was like, oh my God, me too. And I'm like, T.
Yeah.
And so then he was like, yeah, I was talking to my other neighbor who was on the other side of him, because like we shared a wall. And so he was talking to the neighbor on the other side of him, and they were like, oh, someone tried to break into our apartment last night too. And so then I'm like, huh? And then I was talking to the girl across the hall from us, and I was like, hey, somebody tried to break into our apartment last night. And she was like, oh my God, I heard somebody like trying like to get in last night, but she had her deadbolt on. Hold on, I gotta get George. What are you doing, man? Okay. But she was
George!
like, yeah, somebody tried to get in but couldn't. And so then Al was doing some investigating, and he was like, eventually found out that this guy was living in the floor below us, and he was being sublet to. So he wasn't like in the resident system. Like, people didn't know who this man was, and it wasn't a very big building. There were probably like maybe like 40 units in it, which is still a lot, but like it was a whole building. And he was essentially unwell.
Right.
And he was convinced that there were noises coming from upstairs. And so he took it upon himself to go find the noises. And he was telling Matt that there were noises in our apartment and he needed to like come check them out. And Matt was like, no. Hey, no. And it was like, I was asleep. So I think it was probably like, I think at like 1 a.m, but Matt was still up. And so, yeah, that's what happened. And then eventually the landlord like got in contact with a person who was actually like on the lease. 'Cause like nobody owned these units. They were all like rentals. And he was asked to leave. And I had recognized the guy before. And one time I was getting the mail, and he was like right in front of the mailboxes in our lobby. And I was like, this guy looks familiar. And then he turned around and looked me like straight in the eyes. And it like sent like a chill like through my body. And I was like, this is the guy who tried to break in.
Yeah.
Because I had seen him a few times, and he like was kind of like odd.
Yeah.
And I like, because I knew like most of the people in the building. So then when I like, he made like, just like he turned around and made like very direct eye contact with me. And I was just like, I felt like the blood like leave my body. And I was like, oh my God.
That kind of stare is amazing, that people can do. Like, that just sees right through you, and you're like,
I felt like I was shot. Like, it was
piercing eyes. Yeah.
That was the building where it was a 2-person elevator.
Yes.
Where you had to close a bunch of doors and then it would shake all the way up. But
you take the stairs at that point.
4 flights of stairs up and down.
Yeah.
Yep.
I've got a break-in story last week that's not really it's in a way, but it was concerning not physical, but it was digital, where I got an email being like, someone's in like, on whatever account thing. Anyway, my passwords are all compromised, essentially. Mm-hmm. Which was a incredibly frightening thing, because the way Microsoft does it, like Outlook accounts, is it goes...
Do you use Outlook?
I use Outlook, yeah. Oh, the hackers know more about me. No, it's common. I use Hotmail. Oh. And it's a little
Vintage.
joke for the people, but I get an email being like, yeah, someone's in. There's a successful login attempt. And
that'll send a chill down your spine.
Oh yeah, I was like, if they get into my email, that's everything. Like that's two-factor for everything. There goes the Instagram. There goes everything. Like I'm fucked. And so I spent a good few hours resetting everything. So concerned. Turns out that when Microsoft tells you there was a successful login attempt, it means they put in the correct password, but then they got stuck at the two-factor and they didn't actually get in. So it tells you it was a successful login, but they just got stopped by another thing. That made me feel a lot better about myself. It literally, right? Oh yeah.
They got stuck with the deadbolt.
I was like, if I'm fucked, I'm fucked. Like, this is bad. This is really bad. And it was also one of those days where I got nothing done for 4 hours. Then I finally got into work. 5 minutes into work, I get this email, and I'm like, well, there goes the rest of the day. There goes all that stress. And then they got into my Gmail as well, but the same thing happened. And it was just a good scare. Good, like, jeez. Maybe it's time to sort out my privacy and my passwords.
Well, and having like the two-factor authentication.
Yeah. Oh, thank God. Thank God for that. Because people are trying to get in
if
every
you don't
4
have
hours.
Do it.
check your login attempts on Outlook security thing or whatever. I was getting like unsuccessful attempts every hour, every few hours that I just wasn't being alerted to. People are constantly trying to get in. And I had it for Instagram for a while. Got a lot of like change password requests, all this stuff. Mm-hmm. And it's just like, it's pretty locked down. But it couldn't be. You never know. You just never know. You download all these Chrome extensions and then randomly one leaks your password. You never know. You just never know. I'm getting offline is what I've decided. I'm done.
Very scary.
It's over.
Yeah. I have honestly, because I've had like a number of close calls with some things, and to the point now where I have over 10 emails. Gmail fears me. And
they let you create over as many as you want.
Well, I use them for different things, and different accounts are attached to specific ones, and the emails are all like a complete laundry list of random characters. So then I have an encrypted notes, and I have like a physical copy of all of my stuff. So every time I have to log into something, I either have to go through my encrypted note, or I have to go find one of my notebooks where I hid the passwords like a crazy guy. But it's
smart. I literally changed my password and put it in my phone. Just in my notes.
Okay. Well, that's okay. I mean, it's better than
it's not nothing. Good though. The paper is the best. I love the on paper stuff, but I'll lose it because I'm dumb.
Especially for like iCloud stuff.
Yeah.
And like my server and like my box stuff, like that's all things that I have to keep like extremely locked down. So it's just the way that I've found works for me, and it's just a pain in the ass if I ever have to log into anything and I don't have like one of my notebooks.
Yeah.
And they're like all like nondescript notebooks where there's other stuff in them where you wouldn't even know on this specific page.
But in the moment when you're writing it down, you go, I'll remember this. This is the one. But the thing is,
I know where they are.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, not to make a Harry Potter reference, the
Ron got splinched.
The things that Voldemort is like split into.
The snake.
I'm gonna kill myself.
I didn't watch. I was never a fan.
The Horcruxes.
I was a fan of Skullduggery. Pleasant.
The Horcruxes is that you kill Voldemort because he is like split into a bunch of things and they're all around the world. So that the only way that you can kill Voldemort.
God, so I wish I could do that.
Pretend I didn't make that reference. I'm new to Harry Potter. Yes. My mom did not allow us to engage with those types of things, not for any religious reason or anything. She's just like that. But my mom retired today.
Hey! That's exciting. That's exciting.
Yes.
Because it's amazing how long people work, you know? Like how many, we're young.
Yeah.
It's like, wow, that would be nice, you know, at one point in your life. I think whenever I hear about parents retiring and stuff, it's very nice. It's like you can now get into
she's gonna
some
become
hobbies.
like a
yeah.
The thing about my mom, it'd be funny to have Sherry on the pod. Because she's like
the drink, am I right? Sherry?
So different from me. She's like I don't know, she's 65 and she's one of the very lucky Americans who gets to actually retire at 65.
Yeah, wow.
And she is going to just become like a consultant and then work 20 hours a week for the same she works for the government, but she's going to become a consultant and work part-time. So I'm like, so that isn't retiring. And she's also going to go back maybe to start teaching yoga again because my mom's a yoga instructor. And she's thinking about getting her Pilates certification because she wants to maybe teach Pilates. And my mom is ripped. It's really annoying. It's really funny. But so she's not actually slowing down at all, but she just won't have to go and do her regular job every day. But I'm excited for her to actually like, she's taking like 2 months off before she like starts consulting. So
that's a nice, that's enough.
I think that's as much as she can take. Cause like I have like the worm that my mom has. It's genetic, I think. Where if I don't do something, I will feel like I'm actually the worst person to ever walk the earth and I'm failing just as a person.
Oh, isn't it fun?
So
isn't it fun? I love being busy. I love it. I feel accomplished when I'm so busy that I get 6 hours of sleep and work until 2 a.m. I feel accomplished and good. Last night, maybe like, it's all right. It's fun. Yeah.
So I went to Taylor.
Yes.
This past week.
I didn't ask how your week was, and you just jumped into this. This is
I've
wild.
just been.
This is so wild.
I'm bulldozing. And it was wonderful, and we ended up selling the tickets that we had, and then getting better tickets.
Oh my god, frugal.
So miraculously, we got better tickets for cheaper. So we were in like the lower bowl. And it was so wonderful. And I've had like a really hard time this week since I got back, finding joy in things. And after speaking with my therapist, we have concluded that I am having a post-Eras depressive episode. And I'm like always talking to my therapist. I'm like, does anybody else have this? And do any of your other clients have this kind of weird relationship with Taylor Swift? And he was like, some of my clients are very special. I'm like, thanks. Go. Cool. Okay.
Thanks, man.
So I don't know. I've had like a very dull week where I didn't describe it to my therapist as this because I didn't think it was appropriate, but I will describe it like this on the pod. That it's
as
like
you should.
Yes. My week has felt like blue balling in a way with like things that I feel like I should like, where I'm like, oh, this well, yes, I should feel like, even if I'm doing like a craft or something, or even like when I'm doing regular work, like I usually feel like I get into like a rhythm where I feel good, and that just wasn't happening this week. And I was like, oh, well, maybe if I just do this, then I'll feel better, or if I just do this, then I'll feel better. And it's like, it always would feel like I am about to enjoy it, and then I would never actually feel like I hit that point.
Yeah, wow.
So I don't know if that makes any sense.
It's an accurate analogy. It's a very funny analogy.
Thank you. I didn't want to tell my therapist that.
Yeah, thank you for feeling comfortable enough to share it here. Yeah. I feel you though on that as well. Yeah. You just want to, I'm like, this will fill my cup, this will do it. And then it's like, I'm still not satisfied. Re-downloading Street Fighter will make me happy. And then I deleted it again last night because I can't handle it. I can't handle it. And you got to make those decisions. And
do you get irritable when you have to do the like if you're trying to find that kind of hit of dopamine and you're not getting it? I'm in the worst
absolutely
mood.
Absolutely. I'm like, what is the point of all this? Like, I'm just like, I am not doing what I want to be doing. I get so impatient as well. Like, I think I felt that because I've been like in a weird place where everything, it's like, I'm like, if I don't start, I really want to tour my show next year. And I'm realizing that like, if I don't get on top of it like today, almost like in terms of applying and stuff, I might miss out. And I already missed out on Melbourne Comedy Fest. And that made me so sad because I was just like, oh, like again, like fuck, like what am I doing? Like, because it's just like, I want to be like, oh, I'm going to New York in May. So when I'm in May, I'm just going to find a venue there and do it, you know, easy, bang. No, you got to do it 6 months before, all this stuff, like 8 months before, whatever. And it's very stressful, but it's like, yeah, I get so like nothing's working, I can't do anything. I can't design, I find as well. Like I can't, but also I start designing and it usually gets me out of that headspace, funnily enough. Yeah, it's, I get very, very miserable. I get so, I don't want to be around anyone as well. I think that's I just want to be like, let me just
and then if I'm
zone out for a bit. You know?
Just like myself, I'm like, I fucking suck. Like,
I don't
legit. Like being around me. I don't want to be like, I don't want to go bring my negative energy to Matt, who's just like existing in the other room. Like I don't want to do that to someone else. No, it sucks. Yeah. Is that like what your week has been?
This week's been really good. This
Okay.
week has been really good actually, because I started, I recorded actually the last Kelliot on Monday. It would have been when it was uploaded because I left it the last minute, whatever. But I mentioned in that one, I think, that I was doing video journaling as a way of like trying to get out of my head. And I've done that all this week and it has been so helpful. It's been really helpful. It's just the act of sitting down and doing it and that being the start of the day. I keep delaying that. Like I did it at like 10:30 today and that meant I started my day, you know, like it's like, I have to just do that. And once I do that, then I'm good. But it takes me a while to do that because it's like talking on camera, but like it gets me speaking, which is important because otherwise literally the only words I say in the morning are, just the iced latte, thanks. Jeez. And that's it. You know, like it's not good. It's not good for
you can like start to say it and they go, we know.
Yeah, legit. And I'm like, no, I'm like, I need to get my words out. I really need to get my word count because otherwise I will get it back into my hole. Thumbs down indeed, webcam. And but no, this week's was really good. I've been in contact with, I think what I was doing just before this was I was sending a big email to a very good comedy agent here in Australia that I was put in contact thanks to a friend. I put out a little call out asking for help for Edinburgh Fringe, which is something I want to do next year, which, Kel, would involve me doing 24 shows in a row. That's a full run at the Edinburgh Fringe, would you believe? Turns out that is a thing that you do.
And how many have you done so far?
3.
Okay. And what's the window in which you have to do these 24 shows?
24 days.
How long is this festival?
24 days.
Oh, okay, so
I'm pretty sure. Okay. I think it's I am, from what I've seen in the list, I mean, I haven't looked into I know 24 is the magic number for a full run. I don't know the maths on the actual date of the festival start and end, but it's not a full month. And so yeah, I've been trying to figure out how to get into that because it's not something that I really thought I would be interested in doing. And then suddenly I'm really, really, really interested in doing it and want to make sure it happens. But also want to make sure it happens like right. Like I want it to be at a good enough venue. I want it to sell well. Like I don't want to just go and have the worst time because some people can have you're doing the midnight slot, right? And no one comes and it's tough. So it's like, I want it to be.
You're doing the matinee.
I want to make sure it's good. Yeah, legit. Like, and I think it's in a good enough place I'm very happy with it. So I think it's, I have the audience. It should be able to
So
sell.
Is that in Scotland or is there a city in Australia also named Edinburgh? Okay.
That is Edinburgh, Scotland. It is, yeah.
I love Edinburgh. I've been there.
You've been?
Beautiful.
Oh, sick. Okay, great. I've heard, it's lovely. A lovely time to spend 24 days.
Would go back to Edinburgh in a heartbeat.
Wow.
Absolutely stunning. I went there when I went on English exchange.
That's right.
So
yeah, apparently they bump up I was talking to a design festival, INTL, who operate from there, and because they were like, oh, you're gonna be in Edinburgh. Like I've done a talk for them before, and they're like, oh, you're gonna be in Edinburgh. Like, let's see if we can help you out. And they're like, but we probably won't be able to help out with Fringe. So if you want to do a show outside of the Fringe, because the Fringe is like, they were like, it's honestly a nightmare for locals because the prices of everything goes through the roof. Accommodation is crazy expensive if you want to have like family visit or anything like that. The food goes up, everything goes up, and the town is just busy.
It's
and it's
the
like,
Eras tour.
yeah, the whole city is just
for a month.
Right? Like the plane tickets, I'm sure, will go up at that time. All this stuff, and it's like, oh god.
And Edinburgh isn't that big of a city.
Yeah, which I think is why it works, right? Like compacting all this comedy into the one thing, and comedy and theater and all that. So that's the week has been trying to organize venues and things like that. But I've got a lot of people talking to people. I'm talking to people. I'm contacting venues in New York today, Edinburgh today as well.
Look at you.
We're trying to make it all happen. We're trying to make it all happen. I might have locked something in New York for TDK, the Design Kids, who you've been just announced as a judge, right? It's very cool.
I am.
They're going to be in New York if you want to come. We can actually, if you want to, we can
New York is genuinely
together,
very easy. You do not have to twist my arm to go to New York. So
we could do because they kind of told me like if you want to do something, if you want to be our featured speaker or something while we're there, because they're Aussie, which is cool.
They are.
They are. Yeah. Oh yeah. That's how I knew them ages ago. Yeah, they were.
There are way more Australians than I was aware of in my life. Like there are secret Australians.
Oh, we make our presence known. You know, like you have to because it's such a small. You know, like we're so far away from everything that you got to like really.
They're like, hello.
Like, no, we're here. You know. So yeah, that we could do Kelliot live there actually, and they could facilitate that. That is good to know. I will talk to the people, and I'll talk to people who've been talking to me. That could be fun.
Write that down.
But yeah, it's just been booking venues and stuff. But it's been a wild week. But I did see. I briefly mentioned this to Kel before. I did see Dan and Phil live this week. Because our agent, I love that we can say that, our agent, Martin, his brother is Phil. So I got free tickets and I got to check it out.
Nepo baby.
And yeah, he's a legend. He knows so many people. It's so good.
Martin's the man.
Oh yeah, I love that guy. We had our little plan. We planned next year. I'm excited for the future. And me and Katie went and saw Dan and Phil, and I can confirm that knowing nothing about Dan and Phil going into it, like you, Kel, I have post Dan and Phil depression for the few days because of how amazing it is.
Right.
You know, I
Dan and Phil the Eras tour. Yeah.
It got me. It got to me. It was actually genuinely a really good show, though.
I believe that.
Oh yeah, if you're a fan of Dan and Phil, see them live. Holy shit! Yeah, it touches like
that's my generation right there. That's my culture.
Yeah, I think I just missed them. Or I just didn't know I was bisexual at that point. I guess I was kind of not even thinking about it. Maybe if I'd seen them
It's
earlier.
where they congregate. The bisexuals do congregate around the Dan and Phil.
Well, yeah, because they had some like really good points. That they had like these solo moments where they both kind of just talked to the audience as the other one went kind of off stage to get a costume change stuff. They got quite personal and they were talking about, you know, they were basically parenting a generation who were discovering themselves while they were discovering themselves at the same time. Like it took them ages to like Dan came out in 2019 after posting for 10 years prior and all that. Like it's just and like the responsibility that comes with being a creator and like it was really good. It was like hilarious, really high energy, and then they had those softer moments which were I think really resonated with everyone. It was great. It was really fun. Thanks Martin for the text. It was fun. And shout out to the person at the box office who recognized me. That was cool.
Oh, diva.
Yeah. I made sure to, you know. My agent is Phil's brother. Ask me anything. Anyone? No one, but that's all right. But it was fun. It's been good. Hey, should we get into the? It's half an hour. This one, guys. I haven't talked to Kel in 2 weeks. What did you want from me?
I know, and so much has happened, and it's just like.
Oh yeah, we're getting back into it.
Should we start with our song and font of the week?
Absolutely.
Okay. So my song of the week is Bleed You by Sierra Spirit, someone I recently discovered. Absolutely enamored with her. She's Indigenous and is like a mix of like Phoebe Bridgers and I don't know, Ethel Cain. So
yeah,
really enjoy her. I am expecting her to be on a upward trajectory in the near future.
And you're really good at calling it.
I am unfortunately really good at that. So I'm trying not to let it go to my head, but I am usually right about these things. So guys, go.
Do you message these like people you believe in being like, hey, can I do merch for you?
Oh
like,
yeah,
is that a thing?
all the time.
Yeah.
I did that with Sierra. I'm doing.
Oh, that's so good. I love that.
And I don't like advertise it often because I don't want like people to think I'm doing it for the wrong reasons. But like whenever I have time, particularly in my down season right now, like I'll donate like merch design or any sort of like creative work to like up and coming artists, particularly if they're non-white artists. That's like, and in any way that I can help with like cover art or any sort of like logo packaging design merch. I like doing that, and it's just like a fun little, I don't know, it's a very different pace for me, like design wise, where it takes some of like the pressure off of me, and I feel like I get to like connect with a small artist on a much more intimate level, and I get to like hear them at like the very early stage of their development, and I really enjoy that. So
yeah,
I feel that with Sierra, so do go check her out. She's on the playlist. Really talented.
Yeah, I feel the same making comedy posters for friends and stuff. Yeah. And it's like, it's just so, it takes so much of the bullshit away from it, because it's like we're both on the same level here. We both understand what's happening. Like it's like, and it's just, yeah, I like seeing like if you believing in the person and being like, this is going to be a good show, being able to make something that reflects that, and like hopefully it contributes to something positive, like some kind of ticket sale thing, especially in the comedy world, because there's so many posters that just are done so quickly, and it's like nice to get people. And I think people just like looking at. I think it's a cool thing. It's like, oh, I've always, I think especially for comedy people, it's like, look at this poster I'm in. I always dreamed of doing a comedy show, and now here it's a real, like it makes it so much more real. I love doing it. It's so fun. It's the best part about being a designer, having a skill that can like be nice for people.
You're like, design can be good. You can actually use design for good things. So
my song of the week is going to be one I just heard this morning when I put on my day list, and it was Ambient Soundscape Friday Morning, which hit different, guys. Oh my God. So this is an ambient soundscape Friday morning song by Dominique Dumont called Ono Mambo Haiku. I don't know if anyone will like the song. It's very it's like heightened elevator music, which is kind of one of my favorite genres. Yeah, and it's really just like, it's just got really fun sounds to it. Like you'll hear it and you'll go, that's a really fun, happy. I feel happy hearing these sounds. So I hope you enjoy. It's a really good song.
Ethos for music. I'm actually really enjoying these sounds that I'm hearing right now.
Yeah, I look forward to the sounds. Like there's certain, they play one or two sounds here and there that I'm just like, I loved that. Like that tickled me in a really nice way. Thank you for that sound.
Thank you for your sounds in my ears.
So that's my song of the week.
Oh, so kind.
Yeah.
Okay.
And now it's time for the Kel font of the week.
And the Kel font of the week.
Rebranded to the Kel font of the week.
So it is a font I found. It's a TrueType font. I did find it on 1001fonts.gov. It's called Adine Kirnberg. No, it's not .gov. I'm just hilarious.
That'd be awesome.
It's called Adine Kirnberg script. It is a bit wonky. It definitely was like digitized and then like not cleaned up. But it's a goofy little script, and I'm extremely picky with my scripts. So if I recommend one, it has my stamp of approval that it doesn't, like, it looks like it could be on a wedding invitation, but like a really cool wedding invitation that might be hosted at like the Ace Hotel.
Yeah. I love that. I love that energy.
So yeah. And it is a public domain font.
Oh.
So yeah, it's a good one.
Like Alice in Wonderland, the story.
Yes. Yes.
Like all my work, guys, proudly public domain.
Slay.
Apart from my ads, you have to pay usage
For the people.
Yeah, for the people.
Honestly. Our work.
Yeah.
I guess like the thing that I wanted to cover in the main episode today, we do have a bonus episode if you guys want to hear us answer voicemails from you guys. Go head over to our Patreon and you can hear us yap and give subpar advice, but sometimes maybe it is also good advice for your brave ears. But I guess like today in this episode, I guess like I wanted to reflect on being a self-employed person / freelancer because I'm coming up on 5 years.
Woo.
Dear God, 5 years of being self-employed in May. So it's been 4.5 years. And I guess like I've had a lot of realizations about myself as a creative person and how much freelancing has given me the space to grow in so many ways, like both as like a professional, but also like emotionally and mentally, that if I, didn't become self-employed by sheer will of force via the pandemic, but without that, I don't know how soon I would have been diagnosed with ADHD. And
true.
I mean, I should have been diagnosed a lot sooner. But when you are self-employed and not knowing that you have ADHD and then having to come to the very sobering realization that that is what is actually going on inside your little prison, it is nice. But I think between that and like understanding my ADHD, that was like one main thing that my self-employment / freelancing has taught me. But also like between that and like Harry getting sick, dying, and then me grieving his death, which took a whole 3 years between him getting diagnosed, him dying, and then me, processing all of it. It's that experience plus the ADHD diagnosis through the lens of like my freelance stuff, like has made me such like both a hardened person, but at the same time, a much more comfortable person who is at peace. I feel much more in control of my life now, and I feel much more in control of my emotions. And freelancing really forced me to reckon with myself. And I think when I started in in the industry, because I was 20, it stunted me emotionally because I didn't get to like be a young person. I didn't get to like, I didn't have a traditional college experience. I didn't, get to like dick around and like backpack through Europe or something. Like I know so many people who've had like, they took like a gap year for a couple years, or they took just like a couple years off, or they dropped out of college for a bit, changed colleges, blah, blah, blah. But like I never had that. And the only option I had was to just immediately start working. And that it really did like a number on me mentally and creatively. And it wasn't good. It was all bad in hindsight. It was very like damaging to my mental health. And I think being a freelancer now has given me the tools to look back and go, that was really difficult for me. I can't believe I was so young having to go through these things that like now in all of my experience, I know how to handle and approach. But at the time, I don't know how I did that. And it's just given me a lot of like hindsight of understanding how I work and giving me the tools now to make the right decisions and know when to ask for help and just like managing my life better. And I'm very grateful for being a freelancer because it just taught me so much about myself that I guess I never had the space and time to figure out.
Yeah.
And I see it now. I see it now. And I don't ever want to go back to working in-house. I think it would be very difficult for me. Just as someone with ADHD, and I hate routine and stuff. And I just like having now that I have the control, because I feel like my first half of my freelance era, I really didn't have any control because I was really depressed. I was drinking a lot, and I was unmedicated, pre-diagnosed. Like I was really like flying by the seat of my pants. And that's when I was working like overnight. And now looking back on that, I'm like, what the fuck was that? And I just feel so much more in control of things now. And I guess what I'm trying to impart onto the listeners is that things will eventually iron themselves out. That years ago, like I graduated college 8.5 years ago. In that time, I have personally gone through so much like growth, just like emotionally, personally, but also like as a creative person. I have such a robust system of creative problem solving now that I did not have. And I think getting all of the opportunities that I did and kind of going, well, I don't have a choice in this situation. I have to figure it out, has like really helped me. I don't know. I guess at the end of the day, like any creative thing is just your problem solving. So how can I actually figure something out? Because the only way out is through, unfortunately. So like just going, this is what's happening. I have to figure this out. And then just barreling through it. And understanding that it doesn't have to be perfect, because it never will be, but just like continuing on and not giving up, essentially. There were so many chances that I had to like give up on my career, and there was one time where I was so close to giving up and quitting because I was just pushed to my limit. And I'm so glad I didn't, because I'm here. And I wouldn't be here if I let a very evil boss win and get the upper hand. But I'm just like I'm realizing a lot of stuff this year. And I think coming out of the year that I had last year when I was like the most depressed I'd ever been, and like putting things back together this year with like my mental health, with my like just personal life, doing this has like helped give me more control and like accountability for like content. So I feel much more in control now. And I used to feel really, really out of control. And I recognize now when I'm starting to spin out of control, and being able to at least recognize that now gives me the tools to ask for help. And I know that these behaviors that I might be engaging in might be indicative of I might be starting to swing through one of my, bipolar waves. And so being able to recognize those things and being able to go, hey, I need another session this week with my therapist, or I need to meet with my psychiatrist and change my medication, and figuring out those things to where I can kind of like put the bumpers back up and recollect. And, pull back on projects or put my effort somewhere else. Like, I have that control now, and I just didn't have that control for a really long time. And that's really what I wanted to. I've not shut up for 15 minutes.
No,
but it's just like what I've thought a lot about, like today in particular.
Yeah.
Because it's what I was talking about with my therapist this morning.
Well, we're all glad you didn't quit as well, I think.
Oh,
it's just been, it's so nice. It's been like, this whole thing has been so nice, like this podcast especially as well. Because I remember like when we first met, I think I was just like, I was in like a fucking weird place. Like I had no idea what the fuck I was doing, and everything was just like all over the place. But I was like getting opportunities, and I was like, okay, it's cool. But I knew that I wasn't getting anything done, and it was making me feel awful. And I just couldn't do anything. Like I was so stuck. And like you being so open about what you'd been through, me thinking that you were just everything under control as well. Like thinking like just seeing your output and being like, wow. Kel's killing it. That's so cool. I should start a podcast with them. I was like, this would be, maybe I'd be inspired as well. And it's like, yeah, it's that thing of like, I love being able to look back, like even with like what a weird year it's been, like I've still never felt more myself this year, and I think that's really nice.
Yeah.
And like being able to look back on last year, like last year and a half, and kind of just go like, see the decisions I made, see the things that I've made, and the kind of stuff that I did, and be like, that feels about right, like just even the clothes that I wear, just being like, yeah, that's me, and it's really nice. And like that control is so desirable, I think, when you start your own thing and when you kind of dive into it. And I'm still trying to get there myself, but it's like, it is when you feel it a little bit and you go like, this is, if I want to do something, I can do it. Like I'm in control. Like that's up to me now. Like I'm not going to worry about anyone else. It's like, I'm just like, I'm going to be the one who decides how this works. And there's not much external validation in freelancing apart from like a nicely worded email, maybe if you did a good job, maybe one sentence. And like, but what you don't usually get is compliments on like the effort that it took to get there and the shit that only you saw when you did a project or when you like pulled all nighters and all this shit getting stuff done. But it's like being able to reflect on those moments and be like, no, I didn't quit in that moment. I did it. I can do it going forward, just in a bet. But I know how to avoid also making it that like, I don't want to do it like that, but I know now how to like do it in a better way for me, something that works for me, and like constantly learning and stuff. It's it's nice. It's nice. It's nice to feel, in control. It's and the certainty, right? It's like just being, I can like, that makes just being like, that's what I would do. That's an Elliot decision. I love being able to say stuff like that now. It's like so locked in. Yeah. But that's great to hear. This is very lovely.
Thank you. There's a lot of power in like thinking about things as practice runs. Like, just, I think that's like why we think hindsight is so powerful, because we're able to go, oh, well, because I did that this way. Now I know for the future that I can do something this way, because in hindsight, I can see that was maybe wrong or maybe that was right. But now I can see that. So like, I guess treating more things as that practice run and not putting so much pressure on yourself that it doesn't do you any good. And I saw like an Instagram reel that was like, it's the burden that adults will put on creatively gifted kids, where you're kind of pinned between two things, where either it's like when we hear like a young kid wants to be like a doctor, it's like, oh my God, that's so amazing. That's so like noble and cool. And then like when like an adult hears that a kid wants to be like an artist, it's one of two routes that they're kind of presented with. It's either, well, give me your autograph before you get famous type of thing. And even that, they mean it in like a joking manner, but it's like, as a kid, it lingers because it was done to me and I didn't think about it until I saw this Instagram reel. And it's either like, well, give me your autograph before you're famous, or you're going to kind of be like starving artist selling your art on the street, not being able to pay for anything. And that was something that like my mom ultimately didn't want me to experience. Was she really didn't want me to be like this starving artist thing. And that was kind of like held over my head my entire life. And it like put so much pressure on me, just like subconsciously as like a child, where it was like, I have to make this work. Otherwise my parents will never approve of me pursuing art professionally. And it's made me a little like neurotic, but I mean, like hindsight, I'm like, oh, I have to be grateful for it because it's, got me to where I am now. But like, it's a lot of pressure that you start to internalize at like a very young age. And I don't know if that, like, were you like a really artsy, like young kid, like at 5?
Yeah, I was a drawer.
Very artsy.
I made these little characters I remember that I would draw all the time that my dad still calls back on. And he's like, you should recreate them. And I'm like, I never want to see them again because they're just like these, like, I would find an object, draw it and name it, and then it was like, this is brilliant, and I'm like, I don't see the brilliance right now. Like, but I'm like, it would have been cool, right? Like, yeah. And it's like, you know, I was really into art stuff I did it all through school and stuff. But it never really, well, I think what ended up happening for me is because I just wasn't an incredible painter, drawer, sculptist, whatever, that I never really thought art would be a career. And then I found graphic design and I was like, oh, this is actually a medium that really clicks with me. And then it took me, you know, 10 more years to start thinking of graphic design as art, you know, rather than just wanting to be a graphic designer.
There's like that weird thing where George,
not again.
Not terrible again. Like there's like this weird thing where I felt like the same way about art, where I was in like a lot of fine art classes. Like thankfully my parents like let me pursue art as a kid. Like I got to do a lot of art classes. I got to do a lot of like painting classes and art summer camps and stuff.
Those painting classes were so much, all those art classes, so much fun as a kid. Like, oh my god, I loved art class. Like after school art, just drawing. Fuck me, that was fun. Yeah.
My elementary school was very, very poor, and we never had like art class. We didn't have music. We didn't have PE or gym. We had PE like twice a month, and we just ran in circles around like the basketball court. But that was like my elementary school it was pre-K through 8. So I had it up until I was in high school, and I never had like art classes. I never had music classes. I never had any of those things where you're typically getting them through school. But my school could not afford those things. So like I got to do all these things as extracurriculars, and just I never felt like fine art was like my calling.
Yeah.
Like I knew I liked making stuff. I loved like building stuff with my dad. I loved just like making clothes. I loved doing so many things, but I never loved like sculpture or painting to the point where I wanted to like go to like a fine art school, like go to RISD or something. And not that RISD was on the table, but you get what I'm saying. And then I found graphic design, and I was like, oh,
yeah, right.
This is the thing.
I like couldn't believe how much how excited. Like thinking back to like the first time I ever used Photoshop, I was like, I can remember it, like the feeling of it just clicking and being like, one, this is really fun, and two, like, I might be good at this without even like. I was like, this is. I was like, oh, this was. I know that, like, it just made sense. Like everything was clicking already, and like just little things like layout and composition and shit. Like it worked in my head already, and it was such a nice feeling going
because
from
you already
someone
had the bones of like creativity. Like, and I think that's something that people might have like a hard time distinguishing, especially when they're younger. That like I knew that I was always very creatively inclined, but I didn't necessarily understand that like I might not have like the best fine art skills, but what I do have, and which is arguably maybe the most valuable tool out of everything, out of all the skills that you can have in art, the most valuable tool is that creativity. So it can be applied to so many different things, and that was something that I didn't recognize until I was much older, that the best tool I have is myself, and that is my creativity.
I love that. Yeah, 100%. It's trusting your gut, and it's just like, what can you do to be certain on that gut feeling, right? Just to make choices for the sake of personal taste and being like, I trust this is good because I know this is good. It is just, it is like, I know it. It's that feeling, and like running with that feeling and not letting, like convincing people of that feeling, I think is such, and the way you convince people is that confidence, right? It's making choices with such a confidence that people can look at it and go, oh, like even if they don't get it, they can be like, well, something's going on, like, you know, they're doing something here. And they know what they're doing. And I think people love saying that. Finding graphic design was such a fun, that was a joy, just an absolute joy. Cause I love drawing so much, but I could never draw. I would always look at these people drawing original characters and all that, and I just couldn't do it. Like, I could never make what I saw in my head on the page. but I could make a 1-for-1 replica of anything you put in front. Like I could just draw the shit. Like I just knew how to put it, do it myself. And then graphic design, I think, was that first thing where I was like, oh, I can just, I know I could just make my own thing. Like I can just make whatever I want.
And for some reason in our heads, that's completely different from drawing on paper. Yeah,
right? Yeah.
I don't know why.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, a blank piece of paper. I'm like completely like paralyzed, taped to my desk. But blank Photoshop canvas?
Yeah.
Like,
oh, yeah. Fill bucket?
That won't stop me.
Oh, legit. I can make anything without any reference. Like it's great. Anything you want. It's like.
I love being able to like, I'm so glad I'm someone who can like picture something in my mind.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It does help.
And make it help. Like.
Yeah.
I don't know what that's, like I know that's like something that like that's what makes creativity so cool. And I love that so much about my own mind, that I can visualize something and then I can just make it in front of me like that. Yeah. That is so cool. I love that.
Yeah.
And I wish I understood that more when I was like a teenager, that is something that is so unique. It is so valuable and is something that like you can't like take away. You can't, and like I think everybody has that. It's just something that has to be like cultivated.
Yeah, 100%.
And it's the Picasso quote of everybody's an artist. The hard part is like remaining one as you grow up or something. I don't even know if he said that. He may not. Whatever. But it's true that I think a lot of people are very creative and they're just not given the tools to cultivate and exercise that creativity as they age. So unless you're like this weird prodigy, freaky little art kid, you're going to be given the which way Western man of either you're going to be like on the street or you're going to be in the MoMA.
Yeah.
Which one are you going to be? And it's like, oh, that's a very normal thing to tell like a 5-year-old. For sure. For sure.
And you go, oh, artist sounds risky. I don't think I'll pursue a career in art. And it's like, damn, there you go. That you just stop drawing. That's I think the sad thing as well. It's like these people who are creative and actively pursue some kind of like, art class or something, like give a really good shot at it and they enjoy it and they're doing it because you kind of have to. It's a class, right? You kind of have to do it. And then once you kind of realize that it might be, or you're just convinced that it might be too hard, right? You didn't have that teacher who's like, no, seriously, like you got to like, this is something there. There's something there. You go, it might be too hard. You don't only just stop the idea of it as a career, but you just stop doing it in general. And I think that's the sad thing too. And it's like, I was talking to this guy I used to coach improv to. Like I coached him from fucking when he was 12 to 18, like all through high school. And I got a coffee with him and he's like 20 now. And he was telling me all these bloody ideas for plays that he'd written and all these show ideas that he had. He was going like, oh, and this one and all this stuff. And I've applied for this like independent theater company. Like, so I think that's got a good shot of getting that piece in. And I could just tell listening to him, I was like, none of these places are going to accept it because he's just too young and he doesn't know that yet. But I was like, the last thing I left him with was like this energy that you have of like these ideas that are going through your head. And you've just got so many ideas and so much energy and you want to be creative and you just have it like, the struggles that he was having was you couldn't find a stage to put them on, right? That was the thing. I was just like you when I was 5 years younger, like with all my show ideas, all this stuff that I wanted to do. And I was like, just keep doing what you, the main thing I told him, I was like, keep applying, keep doing what you're doing. You're not doing anything wrong, but just don't lose that energy. Do not lose that energy, whatever you do. You're legit. And I was like, you will find in like, I'm such a big believer in that bullshit thing about the brain fully developing at like 24, 25 kind of thing.
It's true.
It is so true. I told him that
you
legit.
log online for the first time.
I told him, I was like, when I was 24, I logged online. I started making the best videos I've ever made. I figured out who I was, all this stuff. And
That's when I became a freelancer. I had just turned 24.
It's like, you just figure out what to do with all that energy. It goes from up here to like there, right? It becomes
you're learning to kind of like hone that spark and like
it's so good.
I tell people like there's gonna be a lot of opportunities for someone else to see the spark that you have and they're going to be really fucking weird about it. And they're either going to be like envious of you or they're going to find something extremely off-putting about the energy that you have, about the gift and just general talent that you might have, even though you might not be like the most refined, but you have like that spark within you that is very noticeable. I see it in people. And there are people who really, for some reason, feel very threatened by that spark because maybe their spark was put out by somebody else a long time ago and they're weird about it. And that I had encountered those people before, and they were mostly people I worked for who, you know, took everything in them to make sure that that spark within me was like trying to be put out, because it was like their way or the highway, that they knew more than I did, and I was always the one in the wrong, and that my creative ideas weren't actually that good because they're obviously much more experienced than me, and I wanted to be successful like them, so I was constantly compromising my own creativity because that's what I was told was the right thing to do. And I'm so glad that I kept that's something that is so unique and special to me, and I really like want other people to remember that. Yeah. That people will be really weird about your gift, and you can't let them take that. That's something that's so unique and special to every single creative person. And the fact that there are soul-sucking ghouls in this world who really, I don't know, hate creative people. And I want to feel bad for them, but I don't at the same time, because I'm like, I'm sorry you don't have the colorful little mind that we have. Yeah. Sorry your life is in like black and white or something.
In spreadsheets and numbers.
Yeah.
But there's creativity in that as well. It's like, I think it's just, math. You cannot let that like, it's such a hard thing. It's such a hard thing just to say, and like, but it is truly like,
if you take one thing away from this podcast, guys, just one thing, that being creative is so special. Yeah. And it is a gift, and it is something that you should be very proud of, and you should put all of your energy into cultivating that, because it is ultimately what is going to make you feel more like a person. My creativity is like 99% of who I am as a person. It transcends to everything in my life. It affects my personality. And when I'm not creating stuff I feel good with, I feel bad. So understanding that that's what drives me, and that is who I am. So if you were, you're cursed with being an extremely creative person, I understand. And sometimes you're kind of bouncing off the walls a lot and you feel very out of control. But I promise it'll come together eventually. And it's a gift.
Give it time. Yeah.
It's a gift.
And I think my last point on this, if the best thing that I learned was that, if someone goes out of the way to tell you that they believe in you and that they think that your work is really good and that they believe in you, the first thing you'll think is, they're just being nice. But your work probably won't get any better if you think they were just being nice, right? If you think if you can't be like, they just say that to everyone and all that, it's not going to be good if you can't if you can't believe in it in the way that someone else does. So whenever someone says something like that to you, if they do, and if there's good people out there, because it's such an important thing, like being just like telling people that you believe in them, then tell that to yourself as well, because like, holy shit, I had an amazing drama teacher who told me when I was 18 that if I want to make it, I could. And that stuck with me for such a long time. It put myself on a level of pressure. Like you were saying with your parents, I was like, I have to make, because I told myself I'm going to make it, so I have to do it now. And it made like this year a bit weird because the time limit that I gave myself was running out. And I was like, maybe I was just 18 giving myself a kind of a bullshit time limit. But like, it just gives you that confidence. If you can sense that, if you can truly believe that when someone believes in you, that they mean it, and that they want you to as well, because they know it'll make you better. It's like, it's just take that on, like, holy shit, take it on. And that'll keep you going for so long. If you can that'll keep you making stuff. It'll keep you making stuff because you can tell, you lose that second thought. You just go, no. Like what I'm doing is good. What I'm doing is good. I just got to keep doing it. The more opportunities will come. More opportunities will come by more stuff that you make. More people will see it. The more you make, it's guaranteed. It's like, you gotta believe in yourself. It's so hard, but fuck man, it pays off so well. It's wild. Yeah.
And it
Good
helps
chat.
being extremely stubborn.
It does. Honestly, yep. You kind of...
My mom says I'm the most stubborn person she's ever met.
Yeah.
Which is really funny. But, yeah.
You gotta
hang
back
in there,
yourself.
guys.
Yeah. If you want to do it, you got to do it. You know, God, it feels good to be able to be creative. And it's like, don't let anyone squash that. You got to keep going. You got to keep going.
Yeah.
Happy New Year, everyone.
Guys. Look at us having a serious episode. Who would have thought?
I love it. It's nice. It is nice. That is what this is at the end. I think that's what I'd like to think, that it's a variety podcast.
Yes.
But I do think advice is, I know a lot of our listener base is, you know, young up and coming designers. And I think it's nice to, you know, I get a lot of messages every day being like, hey, how can I build my career? How can I do this? And I just, you know, it's too many where you can't just reply to everyone. So I do like this as a space where people can come for advice. You know, it's a lovely thing as professionals in our respective industries. It's cool. You know,
God, it sucks saying it gets better, man. But
it's like, damn. I hate saying it as someone who's 25. I feel like I'm way too young to be given, like, trust me, just give it time and all that. But it's like, it's that damn 24, 25 brain development thing. It rocked my world. It absolutely rocked my world. And everything just made sense in a way that it never had. It was just, I look back at 23-year-old Elliot and I go, what the fuck will you do? I'm just like, huh?
Guys,
I look back at 24-year-old Elliot and I'm like,
20s.
nice. Yeah. Oh, I can't wait. I'm
It's
nearly there.
great.
It's happening. I think I'm already there. Officially.
I think
I've
you're
crossed over.
entering. I turned 29 in 2 months, so that's fun for me.
Wow.
Age is a mental
Are you
number.
when are you born in February?
I'm March 1st,
So
it feels like February.
Pisces.
Yes. Everybody already knows that. Every time I meet someone, they're
Why
like,
don't you tell?
let me guess.
Yeah.
Pisces. And I'm like, fuck.
I'm like 1 in 12.
How do you know?
Shit.
How do you know? I don't know.
No one picks Aquarius. Which is
Wait,
surprising because it's a twin sign, I think, because it's got the two things, and I am a twin.
Wait, are you an Aquarius?
I am an Aquarius. Can't you tell by my stable presence? I think that's a big thing.
I don't know anything about astrology, but I've had to like learn it.
Yeah.
Because it's a big thing in gay world.
Yeah.
Where everybody is really into astrology. So I've just been like, I've had to learn about it by force because everybody in my life is really into it.
Yeah.
Even though I'm not, but here I am. But anyway, guys, thank you for listening to this week's episode of Kelliot. My name is Kel.
We did it! And my name is Elliot, and we have been Designers Who Care. Thanks for listening, guys. We'll be
if you want to hear more, go over to patreon.com/kelliot, and you can join the wonderful members over there for $5 a month, and you can get some bonus episodes every month. And
we're nearly at 200 members.
Jesus, we should start a cult. Actually,
hey, don't. That's all the locked content over there. Don't.
Oh, sorry.
We've already started it.
Closed cult. Closed cult over there.
And you can also gift the gift of Kelliot with Patreon's new gifted memberships, which is apparently a thing that you can do, which I was allotted to. I also, this is a logistical thing for the Patreon people, which is very exciting. We no longer have to post an audio and a video separate Patreon bonus things. If you just post the video, the audio feed will go to the private Spotify feed. Which is really exciting for me. I love that.
When did they
I didn't have to
update
upload it
that?
twice. Like the other day. Like literally Monday.
I was going to say, it's my first time I'm hearing about it.
Yeah, it's a fantastic feature. Shout out to Patreon. Patreon's going to really, like, they've refined that app. They've come a long way. Yeah.
Right.
They understand that most Patreons are podcasts, I think. So they've really made it good for podcasts. The private feed is, I love it. I love being able to listen to private episodes on Spotify. It's cool.
Well, then you can download them too.
Yeah.
So I like that.
It's pretty sick, guys.
Guys, go head on over there. Thank you so much for listening. Don't forget to rate us on your podcast listening platform. 5, preferably 6 stars if possible.
We got back up to a clean 5 on Spotify, I think, as well. These generous people.
Thanks, guys. Good
Wow,
for the mental
nearly
well-being
1,000. Holy shit.
of. Oh my god! Don't tell me that. That's too many people. I don't know where you guys all came from.
It's very exciting.
Divas. All right. Well, thanks so much for listening, guys, and we'll see you next week, or we'll see you in about however long it takes for you to switch over to the Patreon episode.
We'll see you soon.
If you're a part of that. Bye.
Bye.